Padre Devi ki jai, Gaura Nitai ki jai.
Hare Krishna, liebe Gäste, liebe Devotees, wir freuen uns, euch hier herzlich begrüßen zu dürfen. Hare Krishna, dear guests, dear devotees, we are very happy to welcome you here to our Sunday festival at our temple. I'm happy to see you here, that you decided to come today to this temple, even though there is Zürichfest. So probably it's a good choice you came here. And our Sunday program is as follows. We have now a talk till 5 o'clock. Afterwards we will have our Sunday feast, vegetarian meal, or Indian vegetarian feast. At 6:15 there will be a guided mantra meditation. At 7 o'clock there is a temple ceremony, and from 8 o'clock onwards till 9:30 we will have more mantra meditation or kirtan with singing and music. So for our talk today, maybe if I can kindly ask you, maybe you can sit in this way that you are actually facing this side. For today's talk, we are very happy to invite here Her Grace Devasri Radhika Mataji. Please welcome her with a big Haribol. Haribol. I think many of you know her. She is from India. She was born in a family where Krishna consciousness is being practiced, and from her very young age she got very elaborate guidance from her spiritual family and from her spiritual masters. She is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakticharu Maharaj and His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Maharaj, and she has been serving them, her spiritual master, in different ways as secretary. She has also been helping and serving our GBC, the Sastric Advisor Counseling, as a secretary, and now she is serving as a legal advisor for the GBC, which is the management body of this Krishna consciousness movement. And since 4 years she is living now here in Switzerland, in Zurich, and doing many services here in this temple and for these people and devotees here, for which we are very grateful. And today she is going to talk about superheroes. So correct? Okay. So thank you very much. And
sorry, Prabhu. Just one thing. Is it possible to open a window or something?
Yeah, it's open now. It's open now. During the Kirtan we could not open for the neighbors. Sorry for that.
And that's what about German translation and English and Russian?
Yeah. Braucht jemand eine Übersetzung ins Deutsche? Verstehen alle Englisch? And does someone need translation to Russian?
Okay, that's an easy crowd. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Krishna Temple Zurich. Very familiar faces, but I also see new ones. So anybody is here for the first time at our Krishna Temple Sunday Feast? Wow, so 4, 5, great. So maybe we start with you, if you don't mind just introducing your name.
My name is Tulsi Manjari.
Tulsi Manjari.
I'm from Argentina.
Okay.
I don't speak English very well, so
Okay, we try our best to make you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Interestingly, my elder sister's name is also Tulasi Manjari. My elder sister, her name is also Tulasi Manjari. So I'll probably remember your name. Very welcome.
Thank you.
And yes.
My name is Radhika Devi Dasi, originally from Chile, but lived all my life in Sweden.
Okay, wonderful. A warm welcome to you as well. And who do we have here?
My name is Bhakti Jelena. I'm also living in Sweden, but originally from Serbia.
Okay, interesting.
My name
name is Belen. I was born in Chile, but I grew up in Spain.
Okay,
Now I live here.
wonderful. Happy to have you.
I am Sylvie. I was born in Switzerland. My mother is from Haiti, my father from Italy.
Wow,
So-
that's interesting. Could you repeat your name again, please?
Sylvie.
Sylvie. Okay, very welcome, Sylvie. So, as the customary thing goes, that especially in the Vedic tradition, if you have a guest at home, you really, shower them with a lot of gifts. And unfortunately, I'm not ready with the gift. But all of us can loudly chant Hari Bol or the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra together as a very auspicious welcome for our new guests. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are very happy to have each of you here. And it was very nice, Damodar Swarup and Tulasi Rasa and Shama Kinkara, they were leading the chanting, the kirtan before this. And we have a lot more kirtan that you could stay in tune with. But with regard to our discussion today, and I call it a discussion because I'm this horrible person who likes to do interactive sessions. So I would request you to try and stay awake, even if I get boring, and interact as much as you can with questions or with your thoughts. And I'll probably also bomb you with some questions, easy ones, I promise. So today's topic is, who is your superhero? So all of us have been children, I suppose. And all of us have had this instance where we have had somebody to look up to, right? Some superhero that we are like crazy about, or some role model, some figurine that we really aspire to take inspiration from. So, and interestingly, why I thought of this is because I was reading this book by a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. This is Srila Prabhupada, our founder, our teacher. So Prabhupada founded this ISKCON movement, and he went to the West at the age of 70 to preach the Hare Krishna mantra. And then he made a lot of young individuals as disciples. He inspired a lot of young hearts. And one of the young hearts is now a very old lady, and her name is Shitala, and she lives in Mayapur in India. And she wrote this book on the life of Narottam Das Thakur. He's a Vaishnava saint. And trust me, when I read this book, which was recommended by a friend of mine, Narayani, I found my superhero. So, there's one person that you want to be like entirely. And he's a very exalted personality. But I was on a flight back and forth from India recently, and this is when I was really meditating and reading this book. And I realized, actually, why don't we talk about this, Our inner child also still has a superhero that we are looking for. And perhaps this is something I thought we could together explore a little bit more. And before I go further into talking about superheroes, why is it important to talk about superheroes? Because, when we are children, we have this innocence and a lot of enthusiasm in our hearts. But as we grow older, it kind of fades away, Like we become monotonous. I mean, at least I did. And that charm and that spark suddenly becomes a little dim. And if you really look, when you are a child, you are so enthusiastic about having, a superhero, to be something. And then when you grow up, you realize, well, maybe not everything's going to work out, or however. And then maybe we change our idea of how if we could have a superhero, or what could we aspire for. And having a superhero in your adult life also is so important. And of course, I was also thinking to stress, all of us have cousins or nephews or nieces, and I also saw Lalita with her little boy, Subal. So we have children around us, and how we can also inspire children around us to have good superheroes. And that really leaves an impact on our lives. And also as adults, it's no harm to have a superhero, because we have this inner child within us, which can really reach new heights if we really have somebody like that to look up to. And the concept of superheroes, I kind of wanted to academically study it, so scientifically, and kind of research a little bit on it. And it's funny because, this concept of superheroes was quite prevalent from the very beginning. But then it's much later in time that this actually came together, this concept of superhero. It was in the 1970s only that this concept of superhero was coined and became a thing. So this is a gist of what we are going to discuss about today. And maybe I would probably throw some questions on you about superheroes. Maybe you can already start thinking, who's your superhero? And we have sung enough already, I know. But I was thinking maybe we can also sing a nice song. It's Jai Radha Madhava. Is there anybody in this hall who would require a text of this song, Jai Radha Madhava? Please don't hesitate to raise your hand. You can sing along. Very wonderful, thank you. Manu there, a very good community member of ours, very helpful. He will help you out with it. So we will sing this song. We'll keep it short because we sang quite some while. And then in the Krishna conscious tradition, everything is very auspicious. Why? Because we start with an invocation and dedication to the Guru or the spiritual master and God. So after we have heard about this intro to our topic, let's sing a little bit, invoke auspiciousness in our hearts, and then open our hearts and start a discussion. Is that okay with everybody? Yes. Any questions so far? Okay, great. So generally, most of you are aware, we do like a call and response kind of a thing. So I would probably sing the first few lines and then you can just repeat after that. And we will follow up with the Hare Krishna mantra, which we will also have for the japa meditation later. So you can just read it here for those who don't know. And also, I must point out, I have a tendency to talk fast. So you should just raise your hand and be like, Devasri, stop. I mean, you could, of course, do it in a gentler way, but don't hesitate to stop me if I'm fast. All right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. His Divine Grace, Abhacharnara Vrinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Gaur Premanandi. So just a brief introduction for our guests who are not so acquainted. We sang actually the different names of God, and then we praised our spiritual teacher Prabhupada in the end, just to invoke blessings. So now we will chant the invocation, and if you know, you can please also chant along. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So once again, thank you for joining us. And perhaps we dive straight into our topic, which is, who's your superhero? Which is a question, who is your superhero? So maybe if somebody wants to, kind of give an insight as a child, if you had superheroes. Some we will know, some we will not know. But it's a very American concept also, I must say, to have a superhero. So does anyone growing up, did you have a superhero? It could be a historic figure, a comic figure. Yes, Lokapavani.
I wanted to be like Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, yes. A good and famous one, Indiana Jones. Anybody else? Yes, Manu.
I was always inspired by these fighters and like Shaolin monks.
Mm-hmm. The
lifestyle,
Shaolin monks. Yeah, interesting, yes. Yes, your name, sorry? Santo, yes, please.
Peter Pan can fly.
Peter Pan, yes.
He's always a drum.
Yes, good one, yes. Anyone else? Any other superheroes? Yes, Sylvia.
My parents.
Your parents?
Yeah, especially my father.
Okay, very profound. And his good name?
Silvio.
Silvio, okay. So Silvio, my dad, okay, nice. Anyone else would like to say a few more? Yes, Ramdas.
Hanuman.
Hanuman, yes. He's one of the, when I was researching on superheroes, he's one of the world famous superheroes from the Indian epic, Okay, maybe we take two more? Yes, one more, yes.
There was also another Disney figure, Tarzan.
Tarzan, yes. The Jungle Boy.
Yes.
Yes.
He also was going through the forest.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, swinging around, huh? That's right, yes. Okay, the last superhero that we can, yes.
I was very inspired by Superman because he could
Superman,
fly.
yes.
And in and out outer space and on the Earth and
Right.
planets. So
Yeah.
I also wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Visit different planets.
Yeah, so he could just go out and explore and then come back again to the Earth planet. It's interesting, and so like there were a lot of these comic, historic, and for some of us also personal figures that we look up to. And when I was looking into this concept of superheroes, it is said the whole concept is based on 4 criteria. I really hope I remember it. Let's see. One is mission. That the person had some mission, any superhero you look at, they had some mission in life. The next is power or prowess or qualities, they had some strength. Then another one is costume. They had a certain way of dressing. And the fourth one, I can't remember it. But anyway, they had an identity, I think it was something like that. So they had a certain kind of personality. So these were the characteristics of a superhero, and this is what makes a superhero. And I thought in this context we could maybe tweak our idea of a superhero a little bit, and I would like to relate to you the story of a little boy named Naru, and who became later Srila Narottam Das Thakur, a Vaishnava saint. But little Naru was born 500-ish years ago in a village in Bengal named Keturi. And he was born to a king, Krishnananda, and his wife Narayani. And growing up, he had a very opulent childhood because, you are, your parents are landlords and they maintain a village, so you come from an opulent family. He had all riches. But he was also in a very devotional, Krishna-conscious family. So he grew up in a Krishna-conscious family. And he had a very nice childhood. The only problem was his parents would never let him go to the river. Never. And he really, like every other child, every child likes water unless they drowned or something and then they have a bad experience. But generally kids like water. And so even Naru always wanted to go to the water, but his father said, Naru, there is one thing you will never do. Hare Krishna, welcome. So we are talking about superheroes, and we are talking about a story of a little boy named Naru. So his father said, do whatever you can, but never go to the Padma river. You're allowed everything, but never go to the Padma river. And Naru, being an innocent boy, he never questioned it, He was like, okay. And growing up, Naru had a very devotional setting, and maybe different from many of us. We kind of grew up in a different kind of a culture, but Naru had a very Krishna conscious devotional culture that he grew up in. So he used to eat food, sacred food which was offered to God. They used to read from the scriptures, their local scriptures, and then regularly pray to God, sing the names of God. So he had a very nice spiritual life. But at the same time, he was also very intellectual and academically inclined. And one day, there was this one saint called Krishna Das, who was a storyteller. And Naru encountered this saint called Krishna Das, and he was hearing story from Krishna Das. And Naru then heard about this one personality called Gauranga. And interestingly, we have Gauranga here on the altar. If you look, we have Lord Nityananda, Lord Gauranga, Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra Maharani. So the deities too, with their raised hands, I call them our dancing gods. So the one on our right, that's Lord Gauranga. So Naru started listening to, this qualities of Gauranga and how he used to jump and dance in the name of God, and these ecstatic feelings that Gauranga had. And then Naru developed a very, then Naru had a superhero, let's say. So his superhero was Gauranga. And so he used to hear a lot about Gauranga, and one day Naru told Krishna Das, I really want to meet Gauranga. And then you know what happened? Then Krishna Das told him, but just some time ago, Gauranga left the planet. So that means he was no more, he disappeared. And that really broke Naru's heart. Little boy, who knew nothing, and then he's aspiring to meet this person. Imagine, you aspire for like some celebrity you really like, and you want to meet them, and then you get to know, oh, the person just departed. So he was really crushed. But somehow he continued to hear the stories of superheroes. And then he had different kind of superheroes, and these are the associates of Lord Chaitanya. So Gauranga, his other name is Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya had many other associates, Lord Nityananda, Advaita, Srivas. So he started listening to, about these people. And then Naru had a desire to go to Vrindavan, where these people could be found. And Naru then was always, it was meditated, I have to go, I have to go. For example, for children, if they hear of Disney World, they want to go to Disney World, right? So Vrindavan was Naru's Disney World. And you can imagine, when I was reading through this, I was thinking, wow. Because the people who he was listening about had real character. They were spiritually inclined, but they were benefactors of the world. They were compassionate. They were people who were willing to share what they had. And I was thinking, it is so remarkably different from the superheroes we have today. Like Batman, Superman, they're really nice people. But then there are also some limitations to their abundance. There are also some limitations to, how much they can give and how much they can really love you. And in terms of the superheroes that Naru was aspiring for, although he did not meet them, he felt their love. And that is the genuineness of a spiritual connection. And I was thinking how if we could give our kids also superheroes like this, who, they're not just fictitious, they are real people from history, and whose prowess or spiritual empowerment is so strong that even if our kids have not met them, they feel their power. And that is the life also of Naru, because Naru had not met any of these people, but they were coming to him in his dreams, and they were kind of guiding his life very closely. And the next thing what happens is Naru gets to know, okay, Gauranga is not there, but Gauranga's disciples are there. There are Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, two of Gauranga's prime disciples. And when Naru heard of the two prime disciples, he thought, okay, I want to meet them. Okay, I don't meet Gauranga, but I meet somebody who is close to them. So he was kind of already plotting, how do I escape home and go visit, like there was this plot in his head. So it's like how Harry Potter escaped home to go to Hogwarts. So same kind of an experience, but in the sense it was in a very different time setting. So when all of this was happening, one day Nityananda, who is on our left here, he came to Naru's dream, and said, hey, just go for the river. So Naru was then going to take the adventure to defy his parents. I mean, all of us have done that as children, right? Especially, when sometimes I see, for example, Superman. So you wear the cape on your dress, like you do these kind of things as children. So even Naru was like, okay, I want to be like my superhero. And then my superhero says that, why don't you just go for the river? So one night, Naru made the step. He just went for the Padma River. And he took a bath in the Padma River. And as soon as he entered the river Padma, he just felt like all of these feelings, and he was ecstatic because it was like his heart was full of love and joy. And anybody knows why? Yes, Lokapavani.
Because Lord Gauranga, he left his prema or love in that river for him.
Yeah.
He said that
the embodiment of my love?
Yeah, but like the person, like the associates were lamenting, like what will they do without Lord Gauranga? And then he said that there will come a person who will exhibit all this.
Yeah, that's right, thank you. And that's the beauty of these spiritual superheroes, that they left a gift for Naru even before they met him, So even before Naru was born, his superhero. So you see how these connections are very eternal, the connection to the spiritual teacher, the connection to Lord Chaitanya or to God is not just limited in this one time when we will get to know about God. It's already there and we have to reawaken it. So even Naru, before he met Gauranga, Gauranga had left a gift for him. So these superheroes, these Krishna conscious superheroes are actually our guardian angels. We speak of this concept of guardian angels, that we have this angel who is looking after us. And so these superheroes that we have in our Gauriya Vaishnava history, they are watching over us. For example, Sylvia is here for the first time. Lord Chaitanya already maybe, kind of send a blessing your way so that he could facilitate. Like they say, nothing in life happens without a reason. So you see our presence, our connection to God. And I wouldn't be sectarian so as to say that, that this is... I mean, of course, this is a very pure path, and any practice of devotion practiced properly can lead you to God, And of course, now it's different because people have different conceptions, and religion has become something very different. But the path of devotional service that directly leads us to God, it's already there as a seed in our hearts, and it has to be awakened. And our superheroes, if we take shelter of them, they already leave a gift for us in the future. It's like time travel, in a way. So Gauranga left this gift of love of God in the river Padma for Naru. And as soon as Naru entered the river, he was ecstatic because he was all overwhelmed. Imagine if your body was just made of love. And for us, of course, it seems difficult, like I enter the lake, but nothing really happens, But it's so different because sometimes living in our monotonous, mundane world, we forget that there is some magic out there. Sometimes we feel deja vu or we feel intuitionally about something. And sometimes we forget that there is also this subtle aspect to life. And these histories, I wouldn't even call them stories, but these histories keep these things alive. And for Naru, Gauranga had left the love of God in the river, And when Naru entered into this river, he just absorbed all the love and he became an embodiment of love of God. And that's how Naru's life transformed. And Naru became Narottam. Narottam, the word means the best of in mankind, Narottam. So, and then what did Narottam do? He and his parents were like, oh my God, my son has become a Hare Krishna. So his parents were just like, what happened? And what is the incredible thing that happened in Narottam's life is that he drew his power and courage from his superheroes. And when you really have, these strong, good superheroes in your life, they really empower you. And I would really urge you to maybe Google and study a little bit more about the life of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And it is a story of empowerment. Because Narottam was so empowered by the grace of Gauranga that he told his father that, yes, we are devotees of Krishna, we are spiritually inclined, but for me this is not enough. Yes, I eat only prasad or sacred food, but for me this is not enough. And this, Narottam's life is a story of always aspiring for something higher. And that's how we need to lead our lives, you know, not be, like it is said that there are 3 zones. One is the comfort zone, where, you know, what we are good at and we are comfortable with, we go on with life. But is that really the best? Some may say yes, but ideally we should move on. Because there is a comfort zone, there is a stress zone, and then there is a burnout zone. So comfort zone is, I am doing what I usually do and it's all very comfortable, so I just stay put. But a person who really wants to grow, wants to be at the next level, which is the stretch zone. I mean, even I think anybody who does yoga or exercises, they realize that you do a posture and then you try something new, something a little extended. Why? Because you want to stretch yourself a little bit. So the stretch zone is a healthy place where we are ever growing. And in a way, then we remain ever youthful in the heart, you know, by growing like this. So then there is a stretch zone where we stretch ourselves a little bit, and then there is a burnout zone where we don't want to be because we've exhausted ourselves. Then how do I really know if I'm at the stretch zone or burnout zone? To have superheroes like-minded individuals who are really there to support you. And you know, personally, I have some friends in this practice of bhakti, and many of them are also present here. They are really mirrors, but also, you know, supporters, to tell you when to kind of hold on, and then tell you when to, you know, kind of strive for more. So the concept of superheroes is very narrow, but I would request you to broaden it a little bit. Because in the Canto 11 of our holy book, Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that a spiritual teacher can be found in every living entity. In a snake, in a eagle, in, you know, in anything. Even in a prostitute. And that is the beauty of a person who's practicing devotional service, the eye to see. So coming back to Narottam, so Narottam then fled for Vrindavan because he was not just okay with being in the comfort zone. He wanted to stretch, and stretch really hard. So he went for Vrindavan. And it was a long journey because at that time you could only walk or take a bullock cart maybe. But he was walking to Vrindavan. And just before this place in Vrindavan, there is a place called Mathura. And when he was in Mathura, he met this old Brahmana, you know, an old priest, and he said, okay, so what's up in Vrindavan? You know, he was excited, a young boy who was very tired but very excited. And then he went there, and then he asked this priest, what's up in Vrindavan? Surupa and Sanatana, my superheroes, are they still writing? And you know what happened? Then Narottam was told, unfortunately, Rupa and Sanatana also left their body. They departed. And you can imagine, you know, he was making the run for these people and then they left. And Narottam was really heartbroken. He like kept crying. And he just didn't, but what did he do? And such a nice life lesson, you know. He picked himself up again and said, I will still head to Vrindavan. So he still traversed to Vrindavan, and then he eventually reached Vrindavan. And you know then what happened? He met one of the best teachers he could ever meet. And I really feel Narottam had many superheroes in his life, you know. First Gauranga, then Rupa and Sanatan, and then later he met Jiva Goswami. He's one of our very prophylactic philosophers in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. He was personally trained by Jiva Goswami, and it's a big thing. I mean, if you go to Howard and the Dean of Howard says, okay, now you're my godchild, you know, it's like, especially if you're a scientist, it's like, wow, you know, it means something. So for Narottam also, this was such an experience that he didn't feel discouraged. And this is the effect of having a superhero which can really, you know, empower you. It's not just a fictitious character. It's a person from history with a very spiritually developed background. And it was this potency and empowerment that carried Narottam forward. And then he got the opportunity to be trained under Jiva Goswami, who was one of the best teachers he could have ever had. And then, of course, Narottam's life goes on, and Narottam meets his own spiritual teacher, Lokanath Thakur. And when he meets his spiritual teacher is really humble, you know. He says, I don't accept disciples. Another heartbreak. Imagine you meet somebody and you think, I mean if you even take in love relationships, you know, a boy likes a girl and the girl like, yeah, but I'm not planning to get married, and the boy like, oh, ouch, you know. So similarly, like, of course the guru-disciple relationship is much more deeper, but this is something we can relate to. And Narottam was looking for a spiritual teacher and he found one. He even had a dream that he should take the shelter of Lokanath Goswami. And when he goes to Lokanath Goswami says, sorry, but I don't take disciples. And he was stubborn about it, you know. He was like, no, sorry, I don't take any disciples. And Narottam had to make his way through, you know, his heart. And there is a description in this book of how Narottam then began to do service. So that's how you also attract mercy in the path of Krishna consciousness, through service. And I would also recommend, like, after the lecture we are serving prasad, and honoring prasad or honoring the sacred food is also service. And then there are different services, and all of us are here. I would really encourage you to, you know, take service very seriously, because we see through the life of Narottam that it is through service that he could cut this, in a nice way, the stubbornness of his spiritual master and win his heart. And we will also have the kitchen maha cleaning at 6, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can also join there, clean the pots for God, you know. So there are different opportunities. And my spiritual teacher always said that in any community we stay because of two things: relationship and service, you know. So I would really urge you to, when you are visiting Krishna Temple Zurich, not just visit, and of course we associate with each other and we develop a relation, which is very nice, but also meditate on how we can serve. Because the best relationships are made in service, and it's something I've experienced myself, you know. Some of my closest friends are friends who I serve together with. And it really softens the heart also. So this is how Narottam won over his spiritual teacher, through service. And this was and he is the only disciple that Lokanath Goswami accepted. Imagine, like, it was like a breakthrough moment, you know. He was really incredible. And Narottam, or Naru, is such a personality. He's a very special personality, very intellectual, very soft-hearted. And he was the one who saved this movement from drowning. Because this ISKCON movement that Srila Prabhupada has started goes back a long way, you know. About 500 to 600 years ago, Gauriya Vaishnavism was in a way formulated or put together. And Narottam, with his two other friends, they are the pioneers of this movement. Because this ISKCON movement is not a recent thing, actually. It's a very ancient tradition that is being followed. It's called Gauriya Vaishnavism. And Narottam then really grew a lot. He learned a lot under Jiva Goswami. He received personal instructions from Lokanath Goswami. And then there was a time when Narottam had to leave everything behind and serve the movement, or serve the mission. So there was a time when Narottam himself had to become a superhero. And I find this so incredible, you know. A young boy who knew nothing had these amazing superheroes. And then every time he wanted to be closer to the superhero, he experienced a loss. But at the same time, he received gifts from them. And then the blessing of these superheroes, the love of these superheroes carried him forward. And then there was a time when he himself had to be a superhero for others. And can you relate to it a little bit? Like, if we really have, you know, some role models in our life, at some point we should really aim at growing up and being so empowered to become a role model for others. And imagine if we live in a world which thinks like this, how beautiful it would be, you know. And this is not only for spiritual practice, but in a worldview at large. Because it is said a community is formed by different individuals. Community is not like a abstract concept. You are a community, I am a community. Community means what we bring about together. And if we can develop this like-mindedness as a community, you know, this attitude of service, imagine what the world can be like. It is always said, be the change you want to see. So, and you know, in the Bhagavad Gita, it's our sacred text where Krishna guides Arjuna in the battlefield, and in chapter 7, text 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatiti siddhai yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam veti tatvatah. I hope I got it right. So in this text, Krishna tells Arjuna that people who really want to be, I'm kind of playing around with words a little bit, but people who want to be superheroes are very rare. People who want to lead a life dedicated to service are very rare. And now we can introspect and ask ourselves, in which way can I become a better servant? And therefore become a servant leader. You understand? Like a servant leader. Because a leader is the one who's kind of right in front and everyone's like, okay, come follow me. That's a leader. But a servant leader is the one who's always at the back and walking with the slowest. And it's not so easy, you know. And especially I want to say, just because I'm kind of discussing this doesn't mean I've mastered it. But for me, it's just sharing some thoughts with you. And so this was the life of Narottam. And when Narottam, it came the time to become a superhero, become a preacher, go out with 2 of his friends and preach the message of Krishna consciousness out to the world, then it was difficult for Narottam because he was still a young child, a young boy. And then, you know, if you are all cuddly in some sheltered environment and you're doing the best in your life, learning so much, feeling sheltered and protected, who would want to leave it? But that's the time to make a sacrifice. And that's how he was told that, okay, now you have to make a sacrifice. Then, which means what? Another characteristic of a superhero, a mission. So all of us need a mission in our life. We need a personality to follow, and that personality with a mission. And we have here Narottam, who had a mission. And similarly, we also have to reflect a little bit. What is my mission purpose in life? You know, and it is also recommended. There is one of our teachers who will be here next week. He will be giving this discourse next week, Keshav Swami. And he talks about this concept of journaling, you know, writing or reflecting. He's a very introspective person. So, you know, sometimes we can write down, what is my life goal? What is my mission statement of life? And how are we really walking towards growth? Because human life is not so ordinary. You know, sometimes we get so caught up in our things to do, in our struggles. But human life is not ordinary. It's really meant for something. And if you see the resources that you have in the human body itself, it's meant for something more than eating, mating, defending, and what is the last one? Sleeping. It's meant more than that. If you really introspect, you know, the human brain, the human capacity. So I would really leave you with this thought that really introspect, what is my mission statement in life? And you know what happened when Narottam decided to make the sacrifice, all the blessings came. His teachers, who were exalted personalities, you know what they said? My life is successful because I have a student like Narottam. Imagine if your teacher says that to you, then my life is successful because you are my student. That really means something. So I would really request you to delve a little bit more in the scriptures, in this Gauriya Vaishnava history, and find your superhero. And also, if you have children around you, encourage them, you know, to have a superhero who's more than Superman, Batman, or whoever else we have. I'm a little bit disconnected now. But, I mean, of course, these superheroes are nice, but what they are doing, like Superman, Batman, is still on a very mundane level, you know. It's not really nourishing the soul. And at some point, that is why we forget about them. That is why they become irrelevant, you know. That is why you also regularly have to have new characters playing Spider-Man. You always need a plot twist. Why? Because it's on a very mundane, temporary platform. But if you have spiritual superhero, like Narottam is a superhero for many individuals, and when I read about him, I wanted him to be my superhero too, you know. So this is the quality of a superhero. It doesn't change, it's eternal. And I would just leave you with this thought of how, if we really change, you know, because we are used to a certain kind of how do I put it? A particular kind of concept of superhero, you know, it has to be Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, Harry Potter, which is nice, but hey, it's fictitious. How far is it getting? I mean, I really liked Harry Potter a lot. I mean, I was growing up in a Krishna conscious family, but I really liked Harry Potter, you know. But then one day I really thought, I mean, Harry Potter is not getting me anywhere. You know, like I cannot. I remember as a child, we also used to make wands out of like tree barks and tree twigs, and I learned all the spells and everything. But after one point, I just thought, where am I getting with this? You know, like which part of me is Harry Potter really nourishing? Of course, it made me dreamy, and it made me believe that there is another world apart from what I see, which is nice. But it doesn't do much more. And I would really request you that if you have children around you, or even if you want to honor that inner child of yours, find yourself a superhero. And maybe any of you already have a superhero. And of course, because I have been a practitioner in the Gauriya Vaishnava tradition, and these are personalities I've read about, so I highly recommend Gauriya Vaishnava superheroes. But at the same time, you know, there are a lot of saints in the Christian tradition and other tradition which you can look up to. And it is said a person should be like a swan, you know, take the milk and leave the water. So when it comes to religious history, there has been a lot of controversies. But at the same time, you cannot deny that spirituality is very potent. And you cannot deny that spirituality is also the only thing which can help us survive the mundane. Spirituality is the only thing that can help us be happy in a world where from birth to death we are only suffering. I mean, let me ask you this question. When you are born, what's the first thing you do? Cry. So we come into this world crying. Hey, it means something. Wake up, you know. It means something. So I don't want to kind of paint a very dark picture of the world, but in a way, that's the essence of our existence, you know. My spiritual teacher used to give this one example, which I would really like to give you. Everybody has a little finger? Yes? Hopefully. Unless you've been in some bad accidents. So, in how many ways can you give pleasure to your little finger? Please, tell me. How can you give pleasure to this little finger? Okay, we massage it. Manicure, maybe? And? Painting it. Okay, we got 3 there. What else?
We could do a little bit finger yoga.
Okay, finger yoga, exercising it. We got 4. Alright. What else?
Be thankful for it.
Okay, but that's more like in our inner sentiment. Okay. Okay, now tell me, in how many ways can you harm the little finger? Let's hear it. How many ways can you harm it? Be creative. Burn it. Cut it.
Stretching more than.
Stretch it too much.
Break it.
Break it. What else?
Crush it.
Crush it. And what else? So be creative. Come on. Huh?
Freeze.
Freeze it. Yes.
Bite it.
Huh? Bite it. So you see the list how it varies. The pleasure you can give to this body is way less than the pain you can give to this body. It's just a small example, you know, this little finger. But it should really leave an impact in your mind. Because this is so evident of the fact that how much pleasure can you give the body compared to how much pain you can give to the body. This has to mean something if you are intelligent enough. So really we have to wake up to the fact that really take shelter of spiritual life, you know, and take shelter of spiritual superheroes. And Narottam had all the opulence in life, but he was not content. It was not good enough. Why? Because he was spiritually thirsty. So I request you to be spiritually, utterly spiritually thirsty. Because this one life, this one body is not enough to contain all the love that we can get from being God conscious. And maybe meditate on who's your superhero and what's your life statement. And as we are very close to it being 5 o'clock, I think I would just wrap it up. We discussed the whole notion of superheroes as in general, of how in the 1970s this concept began. We spoke of our childhood superheroes. And then we delved into Naru's life and looked at his great superheroes. And he was like this little person walking with giants. And why was he successful? Because he held on to the hands of giants. And similarly, we can also maybe take some inspiration from Naru, who himself became a superhero later, and be spiritually thirsty. So that was in a nutshell something I wanted to share with you. And we still have a few minutes, and I would highly encourage you, we have full 5 minutes, that's a long time. Highly encourage you, if you have any questions, any reflections, any thoughts you have, please feel free. Because you know, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, this is an Ishtagoshti. Means that you get together to speak of spirituality or to speak of God. And this is really redundant if we don't have exchanges. So it's not one person talking and the others listening, but it's a flow of energy, you know, everybody exchanges something. So I would highly encourage you, don't be hesitant. If I can sit here and talk, you can very much just say something you like, you know. So please raise your hands and share something you would like to, or if you have any questions. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yes, Lokapavani, please.
Thank you very much for your lecture.
Maybe if you would like to do it on the mic, if it's not too intimidating for you.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your nice lecture. I also read the book as you did, and I really liked it a lot. And I just wanted to say that it's not only like in history that we have superheroes, we have contemporary superheroes as well. Some of them, of course, also left, like for instance Radhika Devi Dasi. But she's also a very nice superhero. And there are many who are left. And I know that once I was a little bit frustrated in my spiritual life. And then I said to my spiritual master, like, oh, but all these things that I really, really like about devotion, I can only find it in books, like, because I don't see it in real life, which actually is not true. You can see it, but sometimes you get frustrated because of something and then you're blindsided. But I liked his answer. He said that all these personalities that you talked about, like in the history of Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and our contemporary superheroes, whether they are still present or they're left, are a proof that bhakti exists, actually. Wow. And so it means it is there. Mm-hmm. So you just continue. So I just wanted to share that.
That's a very beautiful remark. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that.
You just have to switch it on. Yep.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your wonderful lecture. I just wanted to ask you if you can maybe expand a little bit on the difference between mundane superheroes who are maybe concerned about your well-being in this material body for your, to save your life from, I don't know, Superman saving you from some car crash accident, compared to what spiritual superheroes are bringing to you.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you. So, like we were discussing, we have these Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, these kind of superheroes that we comically... I mean, the first consideration is that at the end of the day, they are fictitious in the sense that they came up in somebody's mind and it was written down, and everybody knows that they are fictitious, So even if they do some good, you just know it's not for real, And if Superman does something and I want to be like Superman and I do it, but I just know maybe I cannot because, hey, Superman was not real anyway. So, and also, like you pointed out, also like something I tried to highlight, that what Superman, and I don't want to just speak dead against Superman, but I'm just talking about superheroes. But what superheroes in our comics or the fictitious superheroes do is they are nice to people and they save people from trouble. And what they do is very much on the mundane platform, looking after the body. And our spiritual superheroes that I was speaking about, what they really do is kind of make you question your purpose of life, not just on this material world, but your existence as a whole. They make you ask, who are you? That you are you are the soul, and help you, take that inner journey. which is very much absent when we could talk about quote-unquote the mundane superheroes, because they are kind and compassionate. But like Prabhupada used to say, even a pigeon is vegetarian, but does that make the pigeon great? You know. So similarly, these superheroes, they're very kind and compassionate on the bodily platform, but is that enough? So this compassion, kindness, these are very nice qualities to develop. But then what is the relevance of these qualities if we are not, you know, kind of securing our life beyond this body, nourishing our soul? So these spiritual superheroes actually help us in that realm. Both, you know, firstly they develop a character, and character is so important. I don't think anyone will debate that, hopefully. So they help us develop our character as persons, but also help us secure our spiritual journey. That is because it's such a nice thing, you know. If you are really open-eyed, then you see what's going on in the material world. Then you can feel disheartened. I mean, I remember as a child, firstly I used to think that I'm living a dream and it will break at some point. But then when I started growing up and I was a teenager, I realized, okay, this is life. I'm not going to wake up from it, you know. And then when I became very much, you know, like it's also the story of Siddhartha. When he saw there was so much happening, it really crushed him. And if you really see of how much with the war and everything going on around us, it can be quiet, it can bog us down. And then to realize that there is a spiritual soul and a spiritual world beyond what we see, beyond the selfishness that we have here, it's a very encouraging aspect. So our superheroes help us build character and see beyond what we really see. I don't know if that addresses this point. Thank you. There was somebody else who, yes, please.
So my question was answered. So from what I understand from your answer, like my question was, what's the difference? Like, why is it wrong to follow Batman?
It's not wrong, but I feel it's incomplete.
Yeah. So that's what I got from your answer. Like the Batman is not, like the spiritual superhero and Batman, they are helping people at different levels probably. So spiritual teacher or like my superhero can empower me at a level where I can help myself, versus like Batman is just helping me at very superficial level.
Yeah, that's a very good understanding. And also I would even go as to say that when we have spiritual superheroes, they gave us a very complete upbringing, you know, whereas the others, it's very incomplete. So if you're getting the complete package, why not go for it? Okay. Yes, please.
I'll get it. Thanks. Hello.
You just need to switch it on, you see that? Yeah.
Hi. I'm new to this. This is my first time
Very welcome
in such
here.
a meeting. Yeah. Was really good to listen to this. I'm just used to a mundane life, I would call it. And when you talked about what is your mission for life, that's a question that I've been asked a few times and I usually don't have an answer, and I usually just go, it's just to enjoy, just have fun. And when you say these superheroes just nourish you on a bodily level, I get it, because it's more about like being present, or that's how I see it from my mundane point of view. Is just like I wish that I could have fun and make others around me have fun. And if you say the spiritual superheroes help us like help us on a level that is beyond this body. What is like, is that what I feel it is? Just have fun, like enjoy, just be happy, try and make others happy as much as you can. If not, something like that. But what does really having fun beyond this body, like what does this mean? I don't really get it.
Yeah, a very profound question. What does it mean really to have fun beyond this body? Trust me, that is fun. But yeah, I mean, in the sense, like you were saying, you know, my mundane, I mean, all of us have our own mundane experiences, so you're not alone in this, you know, so let's get that clear first. Now, when we speak of, you know, how these, let's call it spiritual superheroes nourish both our body, mind and soul, because at least because I went to law school, I did, and then I worked as a lawyer also considerably long. I mean, not so long, but still. And we were, I went to a school which was replete with affluent families, children coming from affluent families, the best intellectuals that you could have in this country. And they were all doing very well. They had all the resources in life, but they were not satisfied. And of course, later we all went on to work, and there were also, it's very unfortunate, but some also ended their life while in law school. Everything was perfect except the scores, but everything was perfect, but still. And then when they started working, most of them were quite depressed. And many of them also, gave up work life altogether because they just couldn't handle it. So the thing is, I'll give you an analogy. When you are in a desert, you think there is water, right? And you run after it. And then when you get there, you realize it's only a mirage. How do you feel? And you're thirsty in the desert. It's strong sun. And then you see a reflection of water, and you go there and you find, oh, it's just a mirage. It's so disappointing. So everybody wants to be happy. That's the very, let's say that's the very symptom of being human, in a way. We want to be happy. But what kind of happiness are we seeking? Because if we are seeking happiness to keep the body happy, just have fun, we will be disappointed. Maybe now when we are young, it's easy, and we are happy about it. But this is not going to last that long. And I mean, I'm sure you also experience ups and downs are always there. But in chapter 2, I think text 14, Krishna says, Matra sparshastha kanteya shitoshna shukatukhana agama payano nitya stamtik shashva bharata. In that text, Krishna says that, Arjuna, there will be ups and downs. But a sober person is not bewildered by this change. And having fun beyond this body means being that sober person. You understand? That it's like if you find a water oasis in the desert, then you are satisfied. And having fun beyond the body means finding this water oasis and not being fooled by the mirage. And naturally we have a tendency to be happy. It's Satchidananda, it's also a symptom of the soul to be blissful and happy. But if we invest, because if you connect yourself to the source of happiness, you will naturally be happy. If for example, there's an electrical wire. If you touch it, what do you get? Shock. If there's a fire, if you touch it, what do you get? Burnt or heat, So this is a natural side effect. So if we connect ourselves to the source of joy, you will naturally have joy. But the problem is, we are not acquainted with what this source is or what kind of joy it offers. And if you speak with the practitioners of bhakti, you will see that they are anybody who